Like I say, if you look up into where the Kronos rocket was fired in that one state in it's the one with the white road. I posted on my YouTube where there's some old roads. It's that lake with the tower that's sticking out of it. Kronos, the rocket, like I say, was fired from that thing. That was a joint Japanese, German, and an American project where they fired up. There were rice paddies that were inside. If you looked up that valley, you would see a couple of farms, including rice paddies. I forget what year that was. Anyway, the whole point though is that the carpet bombing of Germany. I don't really know what the point is of carpet bombing Berlin. Like those were civilian houses. That was a residential area, and the firebombing of Tokyo. I really don't. We had been in a state of peace. I don't know why Japan just blatantly just attacked two islands for no particular reason. Maybe that's because we firebombed them. Like I say, none of those things should have happened. We had diplomats over there. Britain was inside of Japan. And like I say too, there are also photographs, I'm sure, of American tractors and equipment inside of Japan, building Japan. There was an American base Japan didn't have the equipment to build their own island. So Americans went over there, this was a long time ago, and were building an American base, and there was a nuclear reactor hidden within underneath that dam or somewhere around in there. They were testing out nuclear reactors. Like I say, Germany gave Japan uranium because of the fact that Japan couldn't produce uranium capable of running a nuclear reactor. I had wanted to do a test of nuclear reactors, but I didn't want to do a nuclear reactor on the mainland. I wanted to do it on an island. Silly thing. I mean, plus they need water, so. So they were building a nuclear reactor inside that lake, or around there, and this was a joint world project to deal with the fact that there wasn't gonna be enough coal in the future. Everyone knew that the amount of coal that would be needed to run power to supply power to houses was not enough, and there weren't enough lakes either. The Hoover Dam project was underway, or planned already. But the point though is that we were messing around with nuclear reactors safely. Like I said, it was a joint Germany had their own little fission place. They were the first ones to be able to do not fission, nuclear place up in that one place that was by that lake. So the world was doing this thing with me, basically. Free power, all that kind of stuff. Like I say, Kennedy, all this stuff should have been disclosed. The scientists all knew about it. Like I had German scientists, I had American scientists. This was a worldwide project. There was no war. There was no point for war. As far as I knew, Hitler was basically like restore. It's all because Germany was going there. There was some sort of corn blight or some sort of problem, but the world was having problems, and the world was coming together to solve it. Japan was messing around doing rice paddies and getting what's called. There was steam equipment being given to Japan to build huge rice paddies so they could feed China. It was about this whole food project thing. So everybody was basically working together. And then all of a sudden you have all this propaganda where everyone's saying there's war, there's tensions. There was no war and there was no tension. Like I said, the war with Germany and the bombing of Berlin was a purposeful attack on the world. Like I say, I feel it was Kennedy or Carter or one of them. I don't really understand why there would have been any kind of tensions at all. Like I say, Stalin had American advisors in Russia. we were building up Russia. It's because I had worked with Russia a long time ago doing aircraft, and we had been building Russia and feeding Russia, and there was going to be and they had had a frost, and plus, I kind of owed Russia because I had worked with Russia hundreds of years ago. So so Russia had done all this stuff, and now it was outdated and dilapidated, and they needed an upgrade basically. So American advisors who knew how to build, who had learned how to build from the Germans, because the Germans went to America and were building America, and then Russia was dilapidated. So I had American advisors go to Russia, to build new buildings and stuff, and build houses and stuff, and get their farms upgraded to where they could feed their people because there wasn't going to be enough food. So there was all this big cross thing where America was in Russia. I had, there were people all over basically just building up, and some of these people were doing it for free, because these people did need help, and it would bring prosperity the, for humanity, basically. If Russia does better, we do better, and if Japan does better, we do better. If you get 7 million people working on the future and getting new technology and stuff, building the super collider and everything, then the world's going to do better. So, and we were doing things like building the World Trade, whatever, or Epcot Center and all these other things. There's all these projects going on. Now there was a fair amount of money, but it was mostly just paying the workers, because people were working and they needed to eat. And in the past, I had just provided farms, and it's like, MREs, basically. Everybody had MREs. Like I said, there were rice balls going to China, and the communism was feeding the tribes up in Vietnam with rice balls. It was a food project. It didn't even start. There were no guns at first. And I think even the communism might say there were no guns. There was a couple war where one Vietnam tribe was attacking another tribe for some reason, or there was some sort of skirmishes. But anyway, it was just silly because Vietnam, that was an American city or American air base, and we were bringing supplies in to help our side of Vietnam. I think it was originally a British colony, but like I say, and I was just handing it over, and communist people were doing food stuff. There should have never been a Vietnam War. There should have been, skirmishes, but like I say, this was all Kennedy. This was Carter, the Illuminati. This was them. They would have known that I had done the financial system and everything and invented flight. All this death. It was, it's basically, there's going to be war and battles no matter what. So, and I was actually even talking to, originally the Vietnamese tribes wouldn't even talk to the Americans or the communists. But I sent a person down there explaining to them that could translate. I think she was a British person, and they translated, and then they started talking to them, and they were like, "Oh, okay, basically, all right, you give us food, we'll build some schools, or at least listen." Actually, they said, "We'll go listen." I believe is what they said. They would go to the schools, and they didn't say that they would join up, but they would listen to the teachers. And I think maybe a teacher was killed too, or something like that. Anyway, though, but she was a volunteer, and she knew, and I don't really know why she was killed. I think that might have been like a purposeful thing. So anyway, the thing was I was doing this thing. I am the creator to humanity, and it's not like I pretend or anything like that. There was worldwide cooperation. And that reason was because I had been this great leader in the past and inventor. I owned White Star Lines. I invented the Titanic. So everyone was doing this cool project where we're just building civilization. There's free media, free news. We're working on nuclear power. Everyone's doing this great big project for the future. We're building rockets to go to space, to get the first satellites up in space. There was no hostility.